There we are. Okay, hi, welcome to another virtual water cooler live. I'm the host and the guy always sitting here on a Wednesday, wondering if anyone is going to show up and chat to me. But I'm glad to be here. Thankful to be here. I've got a lot of things going on in my space right now. I am counting down the weeks to a move out of the country. So I'll be moving overseas to Jamaica. So that is front and center. Lots of moving parts, pun intended, but just getting in the right sort of physical space. My environment is changing. My mise en place sign has been packed up, and things are getting pretty sparse around me. So even my monitor and microphone setup has been modified. So hope you can hear me fine. I'm hoping that some people are going to join me. I had quite a few people register, but registration doesn't mean much in LinkedIn Live world anyway. But I'm here, and that's my commitment to just showing up in this space, being as real as possible, and sharing some stuff. So like for me, like I just said, it's my 5 weeks is 5 weeks is the window before I'm off to sunnier climes. I'm so looking forward to the weather change, if nothing else. But there's a lot more to it. It's not as trite as sort of saying I'm leaving England because of the weather. I've lived in warmer places than England, so it's more to it. There's obviously more to it than that. I'm excited to be home in a place. Although I wasn't born there, it feels very much like home. It's my parents' home. It's where the bulk of my family and sort of generational ties are, and I feel in this time of life and my position in life, I guess, that calling to connect more with a deeper sense of family and sort of going back to your roots. And again, there's something to be said for that, I think, especially in a world that's can be very tumultuous. I think it's important to find a space in the world where you feel grounded, where you feel centered, where you feel home. And whether that's somewhere that you were born or somewhere that you were raised, it really doesn't matter. I think as long as you sort of find a place where you can breathe, you can pause, you can relax, you can take stock of what's going on, and that's important. So I had a couple of points that I just wrote down on my board, on my note here, in case I was just talking to myself today. Part of this exercise or this process of moving, as Jeremy Pope, a good friend, podcast guest and coach, had shared with me about grieving, and I think it was one of my newsletter episodes that talked about grieving, and that, you know, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. And by that statement, there were things that you would like to do, maybe even plan to do or hope to do, but they're not going to be part of who you are. You know, I'll never be an Olympic athlete. I'll never be a triathlete. There's so many things that, and especially as you get older, there's things that are just not on your radar anymore. Although there are lots of things that are still on your radar from growing up, and there are things that get introduced to your radar as you get older, which I think is exciting. We sometimes spend too much time grieving the loss of things that we used to do back in the day, and we don't lean into the newer opportunities that maybe a restriction today is actually a stepping stone to something more enjoyable or more productive. that you can introduce to your life. So the move, whenever I've moved, there's always a sense of grief in terms of where you're leaving. And I'm definitely feeling that with Lancaster. Lancaster is a really special town. It's fantastic. As a Londoner, born and bred, I love London. I enjoy London. It's the home of my youth. But since leaving and coming back, the changes are just almost too dramatic for me to comprehend. It's much bigger than and busier than I am comfortable with. So moving sort of up north, and basically if you're a Londoner, anything north of Watford is north for some reason. But I moved way up north to Lancashire, so I'm closer to Scotland than I am to London, and that's a good thing too. But yeah, Lancashire is a great county. Lancaster is a great town and city. It has 2 universities, awesome castle, canal, coast, rivers, and beer, lots of beer, definitely, and music, live music, which has been a big thing for me just in the last year. It's been introduced to percussion instruments and playing in a couple of bands. It's been really exciting just to kind of open up the circle of friends, the social interactions. So there's a grieving element to leaving Lancaster, but it's also, you know, we grieve what we know, but we don't always take the time to explore the excitement of the unknown, you know, what we're looking forward to. And I think just as much as I'm grieving Lancaster, I'm excited for Jamaica, and definitely want to take the lessons that I've learned along the way with me. That's part of the grieving process, is to learn from it, I think. So that's important. And just to be able to explore, and you know, our growth comes from the edges. We don't grow from the middle. It's always as the periphery, the point of the circle that is in contact with the unknown, that the growth takes place. And you know, this is something that sort of takes me out of that comfort circle, that comfort zone, and puts me very squarely into growth phase with all the transitions. So all that to say, I'm excited. I'm excited to grow. I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to engage in a different culture, different society, different pace. And also, just as I said, the fact that I can grieve Lancaster means that I obviously love it here, and develop some great friendships, and I'm very grateful for that. And they don't stop because I go; they go with me, and it's because of those friendships and relationships that I feel empowered to move on and grow in other areas. So all that to say, it's very exciting times. So it's just me today, which is, I'm okay with that. I've got so much packing to do that if I have a shorter virtual water cooler today, then it's not such a disaster. I'm not destroyed by it. I'm just going to check that if there's any content or stuff on there. I want to make sure I did go live, because sometimes the platforms can make it look like you're doing things and then you end up not. So let me view as a member, and yep, I'm on there. And if you're, I'll hang for another minute or so, but my friends, if you're out there and you want to just jump in there, the link I will add the link again to the LinkedIn thread, and just to make sure if anyone wants to join in, and click that in there. And I'll give shout outs to people that I've been in contact with recently. So Annie, Maxine Cook, again, great to see you last week, actually, after we had met in person. It's fantastic. Just so cool. She actually posted our picture together before I got to do my post. I got some great footage of us talking, although there were some technical issues with the audio sync, which it's one of those things. But I will definitely share my thoughts and some of the nuggets that we discussed in our live chat. Also, shout out to Laura. She reached out. She's having Laura Toop, safe on the roads. Carla Hooker, Dr. Carla Hooker, dear friend, and I'm excited about a pig out. You'd have to talk to her about what that means, but in our near future, maybe I'll be closer to her geographically from Jamaica, so we'll see how that goes. Mr. Whiskey, saw some of your posts there, and hope you're doing well, and that the engagement plans are coming along nicely. So yeah, I'll have to talk about me attending the event when it comes around. There's so many. Jeanette Meyer, she just reached out to me today, and we were talking about how organic and natural our conversations are, and that it's not one of those sort of canned, scripted types of engagements or interactions, but just something genuine and heartfelt. So appreciate you. And there's so many, and I spend all that time just kind of running through the list of people that I've met online and in person, and have fostered real connection, even though it's through a media platform. But I guess part of the thing is just showing up consistently, which here I am on a Wednesday afternoon in the UK. It'll be my mornings in Jamaica, but it'll be nice to just continue this vein. The next few weeks are going to be interesting, just in terms of logistics and where I'm going to be. But I endeavour to rock up at 4:30 UK time every Wednesday, and hope you find the time to join, come in and have a chat. Virtual water cooler, anything, pretty much anything goes. So from toenails to Trump. Oh, that's an interesting jump right there. But Lonica's, I just saw Lonica on the note there. Hi, Lonica. If you're able to join, check out the link and come in and say hi. We haven't spoken for a while, but it's great to see that you just jumped in and saw the live. It's not always, I know it's not always convenient. I make the time, but it doesn't imply that everyone else makes the time. But if you've got a minute, just come in and say hi. Would love to chat with you. So yeah, like I said, environment is changing. Physical, geographical, mental, spiritual environments change when you move places. There's a sense of grief, and there's also a sense of excitement and anticipation. So looking forward to that. Oh, Tony's joining us here.
Hi, fella.
Tony, how are you, buddy?
I'm just joining you from the Gambia.
Oh, fantastic! You just have to drop that in. Your skin tone says it all, bro. You're looking very.
And I've just come out of a 1 hour hot towel massage. So if I'm not relaxed now, I don't know whenever I will be relaxed.
How long have you been there?
I've been here a week.
Wow. Oh, your audio is really breaking up.
A lot of history. Okay,
Say that. Say,
maybe
say
I'll
that again.
try. I'll try moving. Get
Okay.
some more. I'll try and get some more bandwidth. So very
All right.
comfortable
Cool.
here. That can be
All right.
better.
Cool. Oh, I got you on a different sound as well. So.
Is that
Oh,
better?
that's good. That is better. Oh, how long are you there for?
We got two. Well, this is our second week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really. It's been a totally. Are you? I don't know. I've just joined. Are you? Is there anybody else in, or
No, just no. I was talking to myself. My soliloquy. It was quite a long one, actually. I'm not.
or if I've
So
broken?
it's always good. It's always good. I hang out. I hang in until someone joins. So it's good to have you there, man. That's not why the Gambia.
The honest truth is that we were booked to go to Sri Lanka, and then because of the war in the Middle East, it was all
Mm,
we were transiting airports which weren't open. So we booked this, and it's been pretty incredible actually.
wow.
It's really hard to convey. Like we did on one trip, we took a boat trip and we saw the stone circles, and then we stayed in like a lodge, which was like a
Yeah.
kind of roundhouse, and that was all pretty incredible too. So
Mm,
it's it's like a place that used to be really on the jet set, and then it
yeah.
sort of dropped away a little bit
Yeah.
because of the coup,
Yes.
military government, and now they're kind of rebuilding and making it. Yeah, it's really pretty good. The guys, not to say really. How much do you know about the Gambia?
You know, I don't know much about the Gambia. Other than obviously it's sub-Saharan West Africa, West Coast
Yeah, exactly right.
um, country. It's got a strong history with the slave trade, being on the west coast of Africa.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think recently it's come up because I know people in some of my circles from the States, and yeah, primarily from the States that have always harkened back, African Americans that have harkened back to um, the African diaspora, and they have a sort of a kinship with some of the West African countries. Senegal is one of them as well. Although
Yeah,
it's more French than Gambia, I guess. But Gambia is one of them that comes up in discussion. So um,
yeah. I'm heading to Senegal tomorrow on a sort of mini safari trip.
nice.
Um, but it seems like before all this colonial stuff, it was
Yeah,
one kind of country anyway. So basically, they've got the same customs as so they do everything the same except for speak different languages,
yeah,
French, English. I haven't seen that yet. But yeah, it's a really great climate.
mm,
The slave stuff does come into it, obviously,
yeah,
um, and the story that they tell is really comprehensive,
mm, good.
um, and it's slightly different to what most people think. And I would
Mm,
suggest that everyone comes here and finds out for themselves and works out what they want to think about everything.
yeah.
Um, it's yeah, it's horrifying the slave thing. Um,
Yeah, it is. Someone posted, and I can't remember which platform I was on where I saw the post. That there was an international body that recognized that slavery was the most atrocious humanitarian act ever committed, and so it would be I mean, it'd be worse than Rwanda's genocide. It's worse than Nazi concentration camps, worse than Cambodia's Pol Pot. You know, it's the most inhuman thing that we've done as humans to fellow people. Not that you have to go around and sort of rub that in people's faces today, but it's just interesting that to recognize that we can be that inhumane to each other. You know, we have to do better.
Yeah, I completely agree. On the one plus that I did get off Britain, we visited the anti-slavery fort, which was built by the Brits. Is one good thing, and it was to stop all the other countries continuing with slavery after it was abolished.
Yeah.
So that was quite nice that was sort of acknowledged, and it's still there. It would have been washed away by now, except for the baobabs that are planted. So yeah, it's been interesting. I highly recommend people considering it.
Yeah. I've been to Nigeria's furthest. I've been to Nigeria, and I spent some time in Southern Africa, so Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Tetaswani now, Lesotho, Swaziland, South Africa, but never been that where Angola. Never been that west though, in terms of or central, and yeah, I'm encouraged when people actually talk about countries in Africa rather than Africa like a country. So I appreciate that. Lonica's on there. I saw Lonica. I saw the icon, but didn't see the face. So I didn't know if you were on. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry I'm not on camera. I'm kind of joining on a whim, but I'm actually.
That's fine. Lonica, meet Tony. Tony's a fellow UK guy. But he's telling us about his exploits and adventures in Gambia, which is
very cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it's
Wait, your mic is going fuzzy.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's better.
You're back.
Oh, okay.
It's like muffled.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like I said, it's when out of great trials come great triumphs, I guess.
It's really interesting because I was listening to your guys' discussion about slavery as I was coming on, and Steve, what you said about it being one of the most despicable things that we can do to one another. And if you think about it, there's a lot of that that's coming up for us now, right? And all of the ethical questions that are being raised, and it comes down to power and control over another, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that we've struggled with throughout our history, because it seems that we want to have this desire to control other people, but not a desire to control ourselves, which is where we really need to be focusing the control. That's, and I think that until we get out of this paradigm of why do we have this desire to, let alone to torture and to be cruel to other people, right? Which shows up all over, right? There's that. But also this control paradigm. And I'll tell you, it will be impossible for us to have peace without dealing with this, because there is no peace without agreement, right?
Mm,
And then the oppressed will always fight back one way or the other. So we
yeah.
must deal with this. Yes.
Oh my
I think
goodness.
for me, it's like also not to underestimate the when you say power, the financial power as well.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
think like my relatives at the time of slavery were living in London and not. I mean, I can't even. It's quite. I've researched the family tree, and from labouring, he'd obviously borrowed some things from site, and he was given hard labour, like in London, and in London, people who stole a loaf of bread would be hanged or deported or whatever. So I think some of these, like the injustices and the
Right. They
power and the
continue.
wealth is really, and what's going on today is playing back into those horrible old times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
is.
I, d- I, it's an interesting, it's an interesting question. I'll just say it without thinking it through. I don't know why we can't live peaceably, why we don't have peace as the overarching desire.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know what it is in our makeup. It's one thing being a gazelle on an African plain, watching out for lions. I get that. You don't you part of your biology is to be constantly aware of danger. But we've created an environment, a world, if you like, that has mitigated a lot of those things. So I
Hmm.
don't know why we can't just.
Because, oh, Steve, I think you've really hit on something there, right? And it has to do with that survival mode. And even though you're right, we actually have created a world where we have the ability and the resources to get beyond those. We haven't figured that out as people, as individuals, especially because the power imbalances continue so much across the world.
Mm, yeah.
Um, right? And
It doesn't make you safer though.
no,
The point is that if that for me to if again the gazelle analogy, if the gazelle finds safety in numbers, for example, so they move like a herd. They might find safety in a larger plane rather than trying to traverse a very kind of covered area, so, because they can't see as far. So things in the environment,
huddled against.
like I said, we have we we use control as a way of obviating fear, avoiding fear, or avoiding things that may hurt us,
Yes.
and that's okay. But when it becomes, does it have to cross into controlling others?
Well, right, because it seems, and you've seen this dynamic come up right now, that it seems to be easier. Some people feel that it's easier to take by force, right, than to do yourself. They
Yeah.
say that the law of the jungle is might makes right, right? And
Mm,
that's, um, survival of the fittest. But that's a complete misinterpretation of what those rules are.
yeah.
First of all, in the jungle, right? Who's the winner, the lion or the gazelle? It depends, right? And when when you think about survival of the fittest, who's to say what is most fit and
Yes.
for that moment? So we have to allow everything. And we the problem is we have both dynamics of competition and cooperation.
Mm,
And we're just seriously mismanaging where we use each of those dynamics.
yes.
And when it comes to governance and how we interact with one another, that cannot be a competition dynamic. It needs to be a cooperative one.
Yeah.
Whereas trade and business can be competitive, sports can be competitive,
Hmm.
But when we're talking about setting the rules, right? And enforcing the rules, that has to be cooperative.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that's how you win.
Yeah.
You say that you can't. That I mean, that's literally the. It's not win. It's not winning the game that makes you win. It's playing the game that makes you win.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, we're all kind of stuck here. We're all alive, right? So, but we could do so much of a better job of figuring out the rules that we're going to play by among ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Instead, we spend a lot of our time trying to rewrite the rules of nature and, right, pushing against the very things that allow us to exist and rebelling in resistance against those limitations that are actually foundations.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just want to avoid all the stuff that we really need to be doing so we can
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on all this stuff that's out of our control.
As you said, fighting against nature. There must be a meme or something I've seen where guys on a tree limb, and he's chopping away at the
The
limb
limb
that
that he's
he's
standing
sitting
on.
on.
Exactly.
So yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy. Where in the world are you now, Lonica?
I'm in New York, but it sounds like you're moving to Jamaica.
Yes, I'm excited. Like I said, it's transition, but yeah, I'm so ready for it. I have to be excited because there's so much minutia and stuff to do. Not minutia, but the things that you got to do to make it happen.
Yeah.
In play, and that can weigh on you a little bit and frustrate. So keeping your eye on the prize is definitely the way to get through it.
Yeah, one little step at a time. It's got to be overwhelming.
Yeah. So, but yes, yeah, I'm definitely excited for it.
Steve, just to recap, what's happening? You move, yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, yes, I'm moving to Jamaica. So I will be there. It's 5 weeks actually. I won't be. It'll be 27th of May. I fly, which is a Wednesday. So I won't be doing the water cooler.
One way ticket.
It's a cheap return because I couldn't find anywhere that would get me a one-way ticket priced well enough. So, but I'll be back. It's not Mars. It's not the moon.
Oh,
You froze, Tony. Say that again. Oh,
I know someone's got a property to sell out there, which you'd be interested.
oh, really? Whereabouts?
I'll put you in touch if you are.
Yeah, DM me. I mean, I'm always. It's a new territory for me. So I'm building and fostering connections as quickly as I can, just to sort of hit the ground running. And I'm excited for that too. The Jamaican diaspora is big. The island is 3 million people, but the diaspora is much bigger than that. 40 million, probably, conservatively, I think. We're just all over the place, and it's a bit of a cultural hotspot for the Caribbean. It's not the only island in the Caribbean. I'm not trying to be all kind of elitist about it, but it definitely does sort of carry some weight there. So I'm excited to be there. Good food and fresh food, so it'd be nice.
So you're running towards rather than running away?
Say that again?
You're running towards rather than running away?
I'm running. I'm moving. I'm moving where the spirit is leading me. So there is a part of that. I think both. To answer your question, it's both. I think there is sometimes it it's worth moving away from something to kind of either see what it meant to you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes moving towards something because it meets an aspiration. And it's the season. It's the season you find yourself in. My mum's the biggest factor for me going there, and I'm super excited to spend more time with her and just enjoy her company and family, extended family there as well. So there's things pulling me towards, and I guess there's things pushing you away. First world living may not always be cut out to what it may not be.
No, I think I agree with you. I'm trying to say that to some of the guys here that I talk to. Is there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that could be better for everybody if everybody came a little bit closer to each other.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that just in a flippant way. There's a lot that's been lost in the so-called first world developed countries.
Mm-hmm.
Our lifestyles are pretty crap. To put it mildly. And there's just stuff good both sides.
Yeah.
And together we would be better,
Yeah.
I saw that as a teenager in Zambia. I had my 19th birthday in Zambia, and I met people that were falling over themselves over the first world, whether it's US or the UK, Canada. They couldn't understand where I was from because I spoke with a British accent. And it's only when I said I've got Jamaican heritage that they go, oh, okay, that's where you fit, But the enamor with first world, whether it's culturally or technology or just aspiring to be there, and I was saying to people back then it was like you don't have to go there to experience it. Take the lessons from those places and bring them home, because you can leapfrog where they are.
Right. It's like, what is it that you like about it? What is it that inspires you? Obviously, there's a lot of marketing, there's some propaganda, but there must be something, right, that is appealing. What is that? It has nothing to do with the people or the place. It's usually the concept, right?
Yeah. And
the one thing I'd say, to going back to what Steve was saying, is I was visiting Uganda, and I was on a trip around there, northern Uganda in 2004, and there was loads of people sat squatting down, like in a clearing with trees, and they were all about 5 or 6 meters away from each other, squatting down and chatting. And they said, "Look, it's terrible. These guys are all unemployed." And then, like, somebody would come along with some work, and they'd pop up, and off they'd go. They were labourers. And I said, "Well, is it better to be in a tower block with the bills coming through the door by yourself, unemployed, watching the, in the freezing cold in a flat with damp, and they're very different, but they're equivalent scenarios."
Yeah, we miss a trick, and I think the sad part of it is that we're not learning the lessons fast enough, or we're being inundated with noise that prevents us from learning at all.
Yeah,
and someone benefits from the noise. We're on LinkedIn. We're on a social media platform. I'm not a Luddite saying everyone should go back to sending air letters or air mail. at the same time, you have to recognize it for what it is, and if you don't use these things in a way that is thoughtful, and like you said, Lonika, whether you understand the difference between the nuance between cooperation and competition. Those things are lost on people now because they get so caught up in sound bites and they can't get themselves out of the attention mode.
And I think that's the biggest danger of what we're heading into now with the most recent tech wave, is that is coming down a lot to power and control as well. And but it's coming down to who controls the flow of information.
Yeah.
And that is seminal. You think about what happened for humanity after the printing press was developed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one could argue that having the internet was equivalent to that, and our ability to share and communicate with one another and to innovate and build on one another's ideas.
Yeah.
And what's happening now is movement in the opposite direction. It is not unfolding as a technological wave that empowers humans. It's unfolding as a technological wave that seeks to control humans. And that's where the danger lies.
Yeah.
And there'll always be some new technology, some new tool, some new way of doing things. But what we really need is a process with humans to deal with these things as they come up.
Yeah.
And to make these choices that affect everyone, because we are all now connected, not just spiritually or energetically or all the ways that we can feel and not see, but we're also connected now, hardwired in a lot of ways, which is amazing because it does allow us to communicate. It sets the ground for peace because we can gain understanding and see what we have in common and set ground rules that work for everyone. But there's some major drawbacks, and I think we just have to be clear on what we're looking out for and what we need to keep, right? It's vital for us to keep our freedom.
Yes. Yeah. Tony had mentioned this before in a previous chat about, the wave of AI changing how we function in terms of, work and support and the ethical questions that it brings up and the societal changes that it introduces. And like you just said, Lonika, those that we could ask the questions on the ground, but there are people in other circles that are pulling the levers on this. And I don't necessarily know if they need to hear our voices. When data gets so big that you don't know you don't know where the data's coming from, then what do you care?
Well, the problem is, and I think most people don't realize this, is that there is no one that's really in charge.
Oh, no.
There is someone we hear a lot of.
And I think it may have been, and my approach to dealing with life has been informed somewhat by being the oldest daughter and second of 9 children. And so I learned early in life that no one is coming to save you. And that in fact, you better not only save yourself, but help the younger ones. And I think that's where we're at now. If we look at humanity's evolution, right? It's almost like we're in this adolescent stage where we have all this power and we have all these tools and we have all of this angst and we're out there wielding it without real thought or judgment. And when we as humanity recognize that it really is up to us and that we're the ones that create the future, our future, and collectively everyone's future, when we can really come to that understanding more collectively and across the board, then we'll be at a place where we can really help ourselves in much more beneficial ways.
Yeah.
But we're really struggling through this, what seems to me like an adolescent phase in our development.
Yeah. That's a great. Yeah. Because I think what happens is that we end up, as you get older, adolescence doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You're always adolescent in something.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fine though. That goes with just being realistic about it and recognizing our human nature,
Mm,
recognizing that we are natural, that we have animal instincts, etc. And then just getting smart about how we channel those energies instead
yeah,
of saying, no, you should never feel terrible and you should never do anything mean. Recognize it's going to happen,
yeah,
but recognize it for what it is and try to ameliorate that and lean into other better things. You know what I'm saying? Channel your anger into something constructive, you know? All we're seeing right now is just destruction, which is freaking easy to destruct. What about constructing something?
yes.
Yeah, that's. I
No,
mean, I think that's right. In the past, I think there was just there could be respect through the rule of law,
Yes.
um, and now it's gone pretty much to an emotional kind of regressive, like you were saying, adolescent stage, and cooperation has been lost. I mean, on this tour I've just been on, they were saying that the whole area between the Sahara, with the greening of this, there was a lot of coordinated work,
Yeah.
and now that's just
All this.
it was really working, like
Right.
to stop the Sahara
yeah,
spreading right across, and coming south, and those efforts are just broken up because the coordination is. It wasn't just that the rules changed, but the coordination was lost.
yeah,
Right.
And it's all these things. I think acting like grown-ups and using rules which had been established over centuries. They're not
Right.
always right, and they needed challenging, but there needs to be some reference to it. I think otherwise, it's really no hope.
You're so right. I mean, one of the things that was unusual for the time about America, and one of the reasons why it used to be able to be kind of a guiding light was this idea that of self governance, right? That we were capable of governing ourselves, and we're seeing that. I mean, for here, because we kind of did what George Washington warned us against and went the route of political parties, and they've just taken over all control and set up basically an extra constitutional power structure that has turned governance into a competitive sport instead of actually on the ground dealing with issues, right? And everyone that actually cared about the issues, the people that were working on things like the Sahara and climate change and all of that, have been pushed out because it comes back to that, oh, well, I should use this power in ways that benefit me. I should use this control to overtake the conquest. You're right. It's these old power dynamics coming back, but now I think we are connected in ways that we never were before. We have a better shot at learning how to get along with one another than we ever have before. Maybe this time it's different, right? And when we grieve the loss of all the little steps that we were doing that were in the right direction that have now just been blown up, one thing that we can take from grief is realizing, oh my God, that thing that I've lost is valuable. Now I know what I want. That helps. And so now it gives us more energy and conviction to say, hey, no, every little thing that we do in this direction matters. Even if it's too big and overwhelming, we may never get there. Let's move in that direction. Just go that way.
you can't silo matter in. Everything matters,
Right?
and everyone matters.
Yes.
Steve, when you're looking down, your mic is getting muffled somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, is that better?
I think it is. It's when you're looking up, it's all good.
Oh, okay, okay. It's under my shirt just to kind of keep it clean. But all right, thanks for that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, everything matters, and therefore everyone matters. And I wrote down sort of talking about law. Where you're talking about Tony about law, the rule of law. We are the lawmakers, and therefore we ought to be the law keepers
Yes.
because we made them.
Right. We need a system where we hold the law sacred by choice, right? What will govern us and govern this world in a peaceful way is governance by agreement, right?
Mm,
And by voluntary agreement. And this is why oaths and holding oaths sacred was such a part of governance in the US, because there must be something that we hold sacred, that we fight for, right? And this
Well,
is
it used
something
to
that
be.
is all for one and one for all, right? And it's
It
for the
used to
sake
be
of
the
all.
United Nations.
Yeah, yeah,
mm.
used to be. It's so sad to have to say used to be.
Well,
It really is. It
nobody
pains
takes
my
any
heart.
notice anymore.
No, it's all, yeah, it's the exact opposite now. It's a ridiculous mess. And I really had, because it's like watching a train wreck in front of you, especially as a lawyer. It
Mm,
is difficult to watch this as a lawyer, and as someone who's taken oaths to uphold the law,
yeah,
and who understands why it is so important that we hold these things above ourselves,
yes,
because it is for all of us. It is what guarantees our freedom.
yeah, yeah. That comes full circle back to the control and power,
Yeah,
because control and power has to be within your grasp or scope.
right,
Therefore, you can't be held accountable to something outside of you, like the law, right? If
right.
if you held the law sacred because it was forged by agreement, by consensus, um, therefore it's in that respect it's bigger than you.
Yes.
And if you break down that premise through control and power, then we've seen it.
Yeah,
You see
right. We have
people
these
walk around
verbal
like
bounces
big
that we have,
above the law. They're
right?
not
And it's like when
accountable.
your fan is running and it's just slightly off balance, and as it goes over time, it gets more and more, and the whole thing just flies apart. It's kind of like that. Like that's where we're at in our system.
It
It's
keeps
so
spinning and
spinning
it's
out of
out of
balance.
sync.
They are flying apart because of the concentration of power by those who are disrespecting it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, we've touched we've touched on the angst. We've touched on the the state of the world. But we've seen glimpses of hope and a glimpses of a productive way forward in terms of understanding we have more agency than we think. Just because you think, oh, little old me stuck here in Lancaster talking to folks, I'm communicating with two people that are in different continents, for goodness sake.
Right?
we
That's
we
hope right there.
uh, so I think that I mean my biggest takeaway from this discussion is one, that we can have it. Technology affords us this form of communication. Um, my other takeaway is that you guys are smart, um, in terms of just understanding where you are in the world and what's going on in the world, and seeing things. And I think hearing from people who are observing in real time in their context is powerful. We don't have enough of those voices. Um, we can't be slaves to sound bites
Right.
and the ones that speak the loudest. Um, so yeah, those are big takeaways for me.
Thank you, Steve. I think you summed up things so well, and I know I've done a lot of talking.
That's what the water cooler's for, Lonica. That's
They kicked me out of
I
the
think
office.
I think a lot of people will be making decisions similar to yours, Steve, because lots of people are going to lose their jobs with AI, automation, robotics, and the whole world is going to need to find other solutions.
Yeah.
Um, if it's going to be UBI or it's going to be, I don't know what it is, because we don't need that much to live and be happy. Certainly not all the material things that we think we need. And
Well, look, I mean, I think that we'll end up at a place that, hopefully a place that makes more sense for people and what we really need. And I mean, if you look at it, we'll always want to be able to do something with purpose and to trade with one another.
Mm.
Certainly, I observed that as a child and what we gravitated towards, without a lot of other influences in our lives. And I think that having that interaction and being able to make something of value and to trade it with another and receive something of value is something that we should keep. Um, and certainly there's so much that can be done with creation, right? Life is not a zero-sum game.
Mm.
So we don't just have to redistribute wealth, we figure out how to create it, right? And that happens with the more organic we can make it and the more freedom we give people, that'll happen on its own. We just
mm,
need to set up balanced systems that accommodate that and incentivize it.
Mm.
And
I
the
mean,
structures that we have right now, right, with AI, if you look at it, it's just another example of a business. And I saw this so much when I was in the financial industries, but making itself a broker, inserting itself as a middleman. So what we're seeing with the rise of chatbots and LLMs is someone who's trying to insert themselves into the communication process. So now instead of learning to communicate with other humans, we're supposed to be learning to communicate with machines. We'll then learn how to communicate with other humans, which is just really dumb.
Yeah.
So we really have to figure out what exactly it's like. Sort of like, oh, I use AI to write my emails. And it's like the point of work was not writing an email. What was the thing that you were trying to do?
Yeah.
And if the machines are going to do it, they don't need to write emails to one another. You know? So there just needs to be just some real honest, like people think because the manufacturers of these technologies try to make them sound as scary, confusing, and everything else as possible, they don't want anyone to have these conversations about it.
Yeah.
But because they'll want them to think that they're just too stupid and they don't understand it and whatever. But it's, I can tell you, and this has come from representing very powerful people, from being in many different industries, that the emperor is almost never wearing any clothes. Ask your questions. They're not stupid.
I love that. The emperor's always naked.
Exactly. Nobody's in charge. The emperor's wearing no clothes. Ask your questions.
Do we lose?
do we lose that?
We lost some of your audio, Lonica. If you can hear us, we can't hear you. Ah, that was
What a shame.
she might drop
Might
back in.
pop up again. I'm hoping that one of the groups that I have something to do with, the Arts and Culture Network, and one of the thoughts that they have is that as we kind of move towards something more like UBI, the arts and culture and music and things that make people happy and interact could, it could be that people get a certain amount of money just to keep them alive, to to entertain, or there are so many ways that we could work better together, and that possibly if we are freed by robotics, I know this is only part of it, but slavery came to an end coincidentally at the point that mechanization could do quite a lot of the jobs.
Mm.
So, I mean, I know that's not commonly. I don't even know if that's right, to be honest with you, but I have heard it mentioned that it's because they could see that they weren't going to be needed anymore. Was the die-hard slavery people finally gave in, and maybe the office job and the way that we're all currently employed is kind of going to be the same thing.
Mm.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, to your point, people moving on, moving on purpose, in terms of they're seeking a purpose rather than just trying to eke out a living, and with technologies taking some of those things off the plate. I like what Lonica said also about, you know, we can do things on purpose, and we can act to serve others, and we can be we are innately creative. We were formed by a creator, and that creativity is part of who we are. So,
Yes.
you know, in terms of innovating and making things, it's not just a matter of having something come in and we have to sort of be occupied while this thing sweeps through our society or our, you know, our culture.
I mean, it's going to wipe out so many highly paid jobs.
But the thing, but again, I can't refute that, because disruptive technologies are disruptive. That's why it's in the term, you know.
Mm. But
So
previously, they seem to have really affected people like on the coalface. You know, it was labourers and the more, you know, feet on the ground kind of jobs. Whereas
right,
this is going to be affecting, you know, middle management and
and in some respects, why shouldn't middle management and
no,
why shouldn't
they've had
senior
it coming for years, but all of them against the wall.
well, I mean, there's been regimes and coups that have just picked people out because they're middle management, and
No, yeah, I know. I don't mean it really because I was in Cambodia after,
yeah,
well, whilst
no, exactly,
Pol Pot was still, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a joke, but what I mean is this revolution that's coming has never hit so high up in society.
right, and we've got to deal, and that's the new thing, that's the nuance about it. But we have to. I just trust that. I'm just as a part. I'm going to close out in a second here, but just my parting comment almost is something that Lonica said in terms of, you know, sometimes technologies often inject themselves into society as a broker or middleman. You know, the printing press was a form of communication. It injected itself into getting the ideas from one person to another in a printed medium. You know, we have labor saving devices or mechanization that injected itself in terms of getting us from place A to place B, for example, in terms of transport. You know, we still say horsepower in a car that's never seen a horse, right? So we know that that's what it tends to do. In this new era, we have to have our wits about us enough to ask the questions that you're asking, in terms of what does it mean, where is it going to go, who's it going to affect, and what do we do about it? And be creative, because we are creative, you know, and don't assume that it's just going to put everyone on a pie on a heap. You know, even if it feels that
Or
way, even if we're the
The
ones
French
leading it.
Foreign Legion, the printing press and the French, sorry, not Foreign Legion, printing press and the French Revolution. Um, well, that moved a few heads, didn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, literally.
Mm.
but and again, that's why we have history. One part of history is to learn from it, right? It's, you know, and
I don't think anyone's looking anymore.
yeah,
I think there were probably. I didn't support the politics at the time, but when I was a kid, I remember walking down, Whitehall, and I'd see the big hitters just walking down the street, ministers, and you had a sense that they might have been to Oxford and studied
mm,
Greek or something.
mm,
And I didn't always agree, but at least they seemed to be able to follow an argument. Whereas now it's just spin and nonsense,
yeah,
and
yeah,
not standing up for their they don't fall on their sword so easily as they used to do.
Yeah.
For the slightest transgression, and people would be like, "Oh, he has to go," but they wouldn't even need to be pushed. They would have just gone, Oh, what a world we live. I think you're doing the right thing, Steve, to be fair.
Well, you know what? All I can do is encourage people to have agency, look after each other, be kind, and we're in a connected world, so everything and everyone matters. So enjoy the rest of your week. Report back next week if you're not traveling. I don't know what day you get back, but I want to hear what Senegal was like as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've always wanted to go to Senegal, so it's
beautiful. Share some pictures. I know your air balloon photo. Oh, you're in the video space, so I'm sure you got great footage.
Got one or two.
Yeah, I'm sure.
not many more than that, but there's lots still. I'm just kidding.
It's like a busman's holiday if you take any more, right?
Yeah. Well, we've got we were just sending some stuff like this morning, my wife and I noticed a monkey on a chair kind of thing. So I did a snap of that, and she got some red horn-billed birds, like hopping around, and we sent them to kids, and they were like, "What is going on with you? There's lizards everywhere, and it's fantastic."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's a load of problems, here as everywhere, but it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
And I've only been here a week, so I don't know anything really.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of your time, Tony. We'll catch up. If you're around next week, we'll catch up. Lonica, thank you so much for your input and contribution and joining us. I don't know if there was a tech issue or you had to go, but thanks again. Carla, I'm sorry you joined but couldn't connect in, so we didn't get a chance to chat. We'll make that happen, but we'll catch up again. I'll be here next week, 4:30 UK time. So, Tony, thanks again, buddy.
Take care.
All right, then. Take care.